bravefathers.com.
Welcome to the Brave Fathers Show. And now, the prophecy.
So, how do you deal with your problems in life as a man? Part 2. So, the other show I did was quite interesting. Quite a few people watched it, quite a few people got some insights from it. And I decided after reviewing the data that I need to do a part 2 of this. And I've also had some interesting conversations since I did that show about facing issues, dealing with problems, dealing with loneliness, rejection, the bias in the system, dealing with divorce, not seeing your kids, and the thoughts of possibly ending your life, which I realized that a lot of people have. A lot of people have. And it's hard. It's hard. And one thing that I've realized is that the help that we have as men, or what is disguised as help, is usually things that keep us stuck in the same position or worse. And also, I've realized that to a lot of men, the idea of thriving is a foreign idea. The idea of transcending whatever circumstances they've ever had in their lives is a foreign idea. And that putting extreme effort in one direction to get something is also a foreign idea. And I want to talk a bit about that because I think that's one thing that's missing, one of the things that's missing in how we approach life as modern men. So one good example is when people come to me uh, with issues that relate to family courts and want help. Every now and then, you get someone who really balks at the amount of work you have to do to win a family court case as a father. And it has always baffled me. I've always asked myself, like, why is this so surprising? You're fighting for your kids. You're fighting for all the things you've worked for in your life. You're being falsely accused. You're being smeared. You're being lied about. You are lonely. You've said it yourself. You are dejected. You feel down. Why does it surprise you that you're going to have to put a lot of effort to get out of the situation? And I wondered why. And then it kind of hit me. And I've been talking about it since, that a lot of males in our society have really been taught to push aside their own best interests for the sake of others. And it shows itself in various ways. But essentially, men think that what makes them good is sacrificing themselves. And specifically, not just sacrificing themselves for other men, no. For children, nope. For who? But for women. And I've also realized that a lot of men value the validation of women. So much so that I'm seeing posts on X where men who hate men put men down, right? They say men are responsible for certain crimes, which I disagree with. And and by the way, that's ridiculous that somebody is somehow owed or owes women or society something just because somebody of the same gender committed a crime. That's ridiculous. Likewise, if a woman does something wrong, which I'm also seeing in the red pill circle, that women in general are painted in that light, which I also don't agree with. I don't believe in this gender sectarianism where one gender is pitted against the other. But that's besides the point for now. The real point is men are seen as needing to sacrifice. And of course, many men don't like it, but many think that that's the necessary way for them to live. and to be accepted. And it's that need for acceptance that often drives them to do things that are counter to the man's interest. And we are taught that masculinity has to be essentially about other people and have bullshit terms like divine masculine and other nonsense. So essentially, a man is trained not to be an individual, but to be a cog in the machine and to be a mat for a woman to walk on and to be a sacrificial lamb, to be essentially a bulletproof vest for a woman, you know, to take the shirt off his back to give to a female. And that's his role. So because of that, men don't think twice about spending $5,000, $10,000, $30,000 or more on a wedding and a wedding ring, right? You heard a guest on my show saying that he's still paying off £50,000, which is about $75,000 for a wedding to a woman that he was divorced to, and he's still paying it off. But a man would not spend $5,000 on himself, and he would think it's wrong for him to do that. Many men feel bad to buy a PlayStation 5 for themselves. They think, well, why should I do that? But they think nothing of buying a $500 bag for a woman. That's like a tiny, tiny, tiny thing, right? They think it's normal. They think nothing of spending $1,000 on Valentine's Day or $2,000 or $100,000 and above on Valentine's Day. So imagine that from birth, you've not been given to yourself. You've not been selfish enough, which you should be, to give to yourself. And then you are told the lie that women are the nourishers. So you go for women for nourishment, but those women want to eat from you. They want to take from you. Of course, you will feel empty. Of course, you will feel down. And you think it's normal. And you get surprised when a woman leaves you where she's gotten what she's wanted because you thought that sacrifice bought you her love, bought you her nourishment. I find it very strange when people say they go out in secret or find park outside the house because they want peace. And they'll say comments like, men value peace above everything else. Like, how do you value peace if you are a female who brings drama into your life? But we are taught that this is normal. We are taught that this is normal. And I think a lot of the mental health issues that men have today come from the fact that they are essentially told they are not worth giving. They only get a pat on the head or get a reward for something, but they don't give to themselves. So if I go and buy myself $100 bottle of whiskey, that is wrong, right? According to what we are taught, because I'm just gonna drink it and piss it out. But if I buy a woman $100 steak on the first date, then I'm being the right kind of guy, right? I'm showing her that I'm a good provider, which I've never done, of course. But that is what we are taught to do. So the reason why I bring this up is a lot of the problems we face should not exist in the first place. And they only exist because from boyhood, from childhood, we are told to give room for the female, to give her away, to give her the advantage, and put ourselves at the disadvantage. And I know I've done it myself too, and it has cost me a lot. I remember my teacher, my directing teacher, she told me, like, look, there was this girl who wanted the same position on the film set, on the student film that we were working on. And I said, yeah, I know she can't compete with me, so I'm just going to give it to her. And she was like, no, if she can't win it, she doesn't want it. That's what my teacher told me, a female. And I didn't realize at that time that, wait a minute, I was paying as well to be in this school. It is my future as well. It's my life as well. So there's no reason for me to give it to somebody who's not putting in the effort. But I still had in my mind that, yeah, but she's a female who can't compete because she couldn't. She didn't grasp the technical aspects the way I did. Nobody did. I was the best. I really was. And my contribution was necessary and important, which the teacher made sure I did get that position because the project needed it. But there are times when I just gave way, which was wrong. So you have to ask yourself, where have you given way to people, especially females, where you should have taken the advantage for yourself? And when you look at, on Reddit, a lot of posts, you see that people think, they'll say, I did what I was supposed to do. So they think that the sacrifice is necessary. It's not. And it's the sacrifice that defines them as men. It does not. And it hurts that men will get to a point of being rejected by everyone, set aside all by themselves, facing difficulties, for these men to realize that nobody cared in the first place, that the sacrifice was really people taking advantage of them. And I could be maybe more attuned to it now on social media because for the past, since October, I've been on social media. So I'm seeing these things. Maybe it has always been there, but it appears to me that it's intensifying. The drive to make men feel like their only goal in life is to sacrifice themselves for women and not even their children, which is what confuses me the most, because you might argue that children should be the priority because they are the ones who depend on their parents and on the society to take care of them, But no, we see women who are abusive covered up by the courts, covered up by the police, covered up by the society, the schools. I remember during COVID, there was one website that is a charity for children, and they included some stuff about abusive mothers. I wish I had screenshotted it because within a few hours, that was taken down. Because of course, you cannot accept the fact publicly that there are abusive mothers, because there are many. And a lot of men will excuse the mother's abuse and pretend it's not happening as well. Or when it comes time to actually for the woman to face consequences of her abuse, many men don't follow through, right? I can recall situations where I should have pressed charges and I did not. So again, I've done the same thing. But the question is, how do you face them? How do you face these problems? Well, you're going to have to do some work, because unfortunately, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody really cares. Nobody. Because even if somebody wants to care, they have to think of themselves. Because you think you are sacrificing yourself for others, but who is sacrificing themselves for you? And if we must sacrifice, does it not make sense to sacrifice yourself for yourself? Because you know yourself best, and let the next person sacrifice themselves for themselves because they know themselves best, right? He or she knows who he is or who she is best. Of course, children, we take off children, we prioritize children. We do things so our children can eat, have good things in life, have shoes, clothes, shelter, and so forth, right? But there's things we can do for ourselves too. So one of the things you have to do to face the problems, I think, is to start giving to yourself more, to start valuing yourself as a man. If you like your PlayStation, then that has to become one of the most important things in your life, because that's what you like. A woman can walk quite comfortably if she has 3 pairs of shoes. She doesn't need 10. But nobody accuses women of overspending, right, if they buy 10 pairs of shoes. So if you spend $750 on a game, and she spends $1,500 on shoes, who is overspending here? And this is not to compare and to compete. It's just to say that you need to raise the standard of what you do for yourself and what you give to yourself and how you treat yourself as a man. You have to increase the level of comfort that you give to yourself, because you need to be in position of power to solve your problems, because there are serious problems and serious things you have to resolve, right? If you're in a state where everything is getting you down and you feel like life is hard on you, and whether you're divorcing or fighting for your kids in court, or your business is struggling or is just stressing you out, or you're in a relationship and you're stressed out, maybe she's abusive, maybe she's just nagging you all the time, you don't feel respected, you don't feel loved, maybe she's denying you sex and so forth, maybe she's cheating on you, right? You must start thinking of yourself only at certain points of these things. You have to recoup. It's like when you play a video game and you need to heal up, right? You can't be in the battlefield and heal up because you might get hit. So you find a space where nobody can see you, where opponents cannot see you, heal up, and then come back into the battlefield or whatever the game is. So it's the same thing in life. You need to carve out a space for yourself, and it should not be a man cave, right? Like some kind of condescending space where you are cast to the side for a little bit. No. You know, whenever I see women talking in a condescending manner about their husbands, it really irritates me. And it feels really good knowing that I cannot relate to that. Because I've had my share of, accepting wrong things, but that's one thing I've never tolerated. Where we are in a public space and I'm being put down. No, 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 no. And it surprises me. It's really shocking to see how accepting men as a whole are of those behaviors. They think it's normal. They really think, yeah, this is what it is. And people say, yeah, cheaper to keep her. Oh, I don't want to lose half, blah, blah, blah. And then you are in a position to lose more than half, right? You're in a position where she's truly taking advantage of you completely. And that also shows me how little faith men are taught to have in themselves. Because the man is not thinking, you know what, I'm going to get rid of this crazy female. Yeah, she'll take half of my shit. And then when I have no obligation to her, I will multiply my income tenfold. We don't even have that kind of paradigm. We don't even think of that. We don't even think that our peace, if we value it more than anything else, is worth more than that. And yes, it's disappointing. Look, I've lost things that have worked for my whole life. I thought I was over it, but sometimes I still wake up and I think like, my God, I wish I hadn't lost this or that or made this and that move after meeting a female, because things would have been different for me. So I can understand that feeling of loss. But no matter how old you are, you can find a way forward. And believe me, there is satisfaction in doing something for yourself and following through for yourself. And it's not easy. It's a grind. Sometimes it's boring. In fact, a large part of it is boring because you have to be repetitive, right? If anything to succeed. If you go to the gym, you do reps. Anything you want to improve on, you just do reps. And it can get monotonous at some point. We get that. But you are built for that. You're a man. You are built for that. So if you are willing to do it for everybody else, when are you going to be willing to do it for yourself? When are you going to start caring about yourself? When is your well-being going to start mattering to you? Because I believe, as I was taught by my mentor, which I didn't understand at the time, but I do now, I believe you are the most important person in the relationship. You are the most important person in the relationship. Period. And you may say, oh, that's selfish, that's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so try the other way, where she's the most important person in the relationship. How is that working out for you? You see, and as long as men believe that they are meant to be sacrificing themselves, then these unruly females will continue to take advantage of men in the society. And our politicians will follow suit. You know, people talk about changing the laws. Politicians only follow what they believe the voting crowd wants. That's what they follow. Period. Because if they don't do that, they don't get voted into office. Politicians know that if they don't follow what the crowd wants, they will not get voted into the office. So right now, the voting crowd wants men to be seen as bad guys. They want men to be seen as criminals, as horrible people. So that's what we get. That's exactly what we see. The politicians are not coming out with this just by themselves. So it's what the crowd wants and what the big companies who pay those politicians want. And they work together. Today, even men don't care about themselves. Men are stupid enough, some men, to be speaking up for these fucking feminist causes. Like, it's so annoying when you see them, right? And you wonder what's the rationale behind it. And I know it's usually jealousy and hiding secrets, as we always tend to find out in the end of this kind of weasels, right? If a man does something wrong, I am not responsible for it at all. Zero, nothing. It's a different person, nothing to do with me. Likewise, if a woman does something wrong, has nothing to do with me. It's another person. We are all human beings. You know, and I mentioned this yesterday or the day before, that before COVID, it seems like men, we were more into being confident, self-assured, you know, trying to be masculine, trying to be able to do things. And now there's a trend to be helpless victims. And we are not helpless. Excuse me. A lot of guys think women hold all the power. They don't. When you give away your power, then yes, it gives them an illusion of power. But what happens is, when on a mass scale men reject themselves, then all these negative movements like feminism and the red pill, which I'm not a fan of, they gain ground. Because again, any movement that pits men versus women is wrong. Because that is assured mutual destruction. We'll destroy each other that way. The way the world works is that men and women have to work together. That's the only way it can work. And yes, there are problems now, but men are the ones who can stop those problems. And the first step is really to start giving to ourselves. Do things that are nice for you. Find the way to win what you want in life. Find a way to get more power for yourself, one way or the other. Of course, do it through legal means, right? Going to the gym is not enough. Making more money is not enough. Getting recognition is not enough. You have to actually, on the visceral level, on the spiritual level, value yourself. Don't get the nice car that you worked 3, 4, 5 years for, you know, like some nice expensive car, and now you can afford it. And then give a ride in it with a female you just met 3 weeks ago just because she's hot. And I know many guys won't get it, but we are the ones who put these females on the pedestal. It's we, the men who do it. They don't have the power. We give them the power. The only power they have is to do what they want for themselves. All the extras is we who give to them. We do it. And the bottom line is, it's not about, upsetting the societal order or anything like that. But if we are to stop being disrespected by the media, by women, by society, by other men, then we must start giving ourselves the due respect. That's the only way it's going to work. And the other point I always bring up is you have to realize that, look, in many ways, we don't know how to be men. Because if we knew how to be men, we would not listen to the rhetoric that essentially our duty is to sacrifice ourselves. We will not listen to the rhetoric that says we are all bad. Like, we would ignore all those TikTok videos. If men stop watching those videos, women will stop making them. Because listen, the difference between men and women is that women care about men's validation way more than men care about women's validation. Yes, a lot of guys want to be validated by women, but women care much more. The only reason why they make those videos is not because they mean what they say in those videos, most of them. Some crazy ones do, I'm sure. But it's because men react to them. If men stopped reacting, those videos will hold little value to those females. Now, of course, it's not realistic to expect the modern male to stop watching these videos. But you can stop. Like, I don't watch them. I don't watch them. Even when I'm making content, I hardly ever pick those videos. If I do, it's to illustrate a very, very, very specific point that is actually about the man being stronger and more powerful. But this rhetoric is irrelevant. Listening to it will not make your life better. It won't give you the power you need to fight the evil that is brought against men in our society. Your confidence. You need to get your confidence. I know guys hate this phrase or this word, but that is the core masculine expression. And you can't expect a woman to make you feel like a man for you to feel confident because she does not have that power. It's a bucket with an empty bottom. No matter how much you pour into it, it will always be empty. Because nobody can really bring it out from you apart from you yourself. And I see a lot of males refusing to do that because they want the female recognition. It's just like what I said about the female creators, TikTok creators and so forth. A lot of males don't value what they do if females don't approve of it. So they think if they do something and 100 women, 1,000 women, 1,000,000 women, 1,000,000,000 women, all the women say it's wrong, then it's wrong. Because women said it. And because we've been trained from childhood to listen to that, we think we must adhere to it. And when we hear it, we think we can't ignore it, but we can. And we are falsely taught that all women, we just want to put you down. And I did some videos because I was critiquing certain individuals in the red pill who I don't care enough about at this point to mention their names, but you can look at my videos. And I was critiquing their videos because they were talking about how you should hide your intentions from women. And another one was saying, assume all women hate you and want to destroy you. You cannot live your life as a man that way, because that exacerbates the fear of women. That makes your relations hostile, and we think that's normal. But when you have that attitude, a high quality woman will not be attracted to you because she doesn't want the drama. She just wants to be a good woman to you and to have a man. But the one who likes conflict, like your wife, your girlfriend, that girl that you met that is giving you drama, that is not answering your texts, her, yeah, she will take it. And a lot of guys think, oh, as long as I have sex with her, it makes everything all right. But no, that's not how it works. And they think all men live that way. No. I will concede that very few men live in a way that women respect them, because it's very few men who are willing to do what it takes. And what it takes is walking away from all the unruly women. Not from all women, like MGTOWs will suggest, and some red pill gurus and red pill aficionados. Not from all women. Walk from the unruly ones. And yes, you have to be willing to be rejected too. You know, I put on a thumbnail on this video, rejected, because I think that's the biggest fear we tend to have as men, to be rejected by society, by women. We think that that's a statement of who we are. People will say your woman is a reflection of you. No, she's not. You are a reflection of you. She reflects you to the degree of how you treat yourself. In that regard, yes. So it's how she treats you that might be a reflection of you. Because if she treats you bad and you stay there, then that shows that that's how you feel about yourself. And that's all there is to it. So, you know, the problems we are facing, really, the root cause is lack of being proud of being a man, lack of the masculine confidence that you have inside you, but you've been told to suppress. That part of you that does not care about anything, that you're not scared of anything, that you do what it takes to get what you want. That part, where you are the most important person in your life, where you're not a sacrificial lamb, but you're a man, an adult male, human male. And you don't place any female above you. Nobody. I remember there was this female I met years ago, and she said something, because we're in a bar and we were drinking. Somebody, I had already kind of known her, knew her, and we were drinking. So, you know, I was buying some drinks, she was buying some. It wasn't a date or anything, we just were out. It was summertime, so people were outside. And she said something, because I said, I don't buy women drinks on dates and that. And she was like, oh, then you're never gonna get laid. And it was interesting, it was very funny, because she ended up sleeping with me. And I say this because a lot of times guys think they have to humiliate themselves for sex. And a lot of guys do. A lot of guys do. And I understand now that most guys are not willing, especially these days, to approach women anymore. They're just not willing to do it. At the same time, you still deal with women, right? And you still deal with women in a romantic sense. So you have to be willing to just filter out a lot of them. Because it is not true that essentially when a woman treats you bad, it's something that you did wrong to her. or towards her is only because you allow it. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's only because you allow it. A woman will treat you badly, just like any other human being, if you allow her to do that. So maybe this is not the message you want to hear, but part of facing your problem is seeing where you allow women to walk all over you, where you allow women to disrespect you, where you allow women to take things from you that they don't deserve. And if you don't know any other way than to impress women, like many males don't, right? So they get rich and then they think sending a woman $10,000 on a first date is a flex. They don't know that's weakness because society will applaud it. The woman will be like, oh my gosh, you're different from the other guys. He thinks he's doing something right. It ain't tricking if you got it, right? That's what they say. It's still tricking. If you don't have it, you can't trick. I know it's a stupid saying, but you know. And the woman then disrespects you, maybe in secret. But when she brings you drama, it's because from the start she put you in that category. And I know by working with clients that people don't like when I say stuff like this, but I have to say it because it's the truth. People don't like to hear certain kinds of truth. Probably I don't like hearing certain kinds of truths. But that's the fact. You do yourself a disservice by bribing women to be in your life, and that will bring you problems too. So a huge part of getting out of these situations is facing the pain and the agony of realizing where you allowed it to happen to you. Because when you are able to do that, something magical happens. You stop being a victim of life. You stop being in a helpless position and you start realizing I have power. Yes, there are many dangers in this world. There are. It is very unfair in many ways, and I've seen it, and it breaks my heart when I see it. It hurts me when I think of what I've been through because of the bias against men in society. And yet, we have to let go of that pain. But to let go of it, we have to first go through it. And I think that's the most difficult part to sit with the pain. If you feel lonely, is to actually feel the loneliness, to actually feel it to the full extent, right? Don't try to suppress it. Feel it. Let the tears flow, not in front of a woman. You don't need a woman to feel better about yourself. And we all hear stories and we've all experienced trying to open up and then it just goes against us. That's just what it is. It's no big deal. At some point you realize it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter, really. What is important is that you find your center, you find your strength, you find your self-worth, and you really, really understand your value as a man. You have to. And when I say your value as a man, I don't mean your value to women, to the world, and even to your kids, but to yourself. To see what your masculinity can offer you, where you can be self-reliant emotionally, right? And I'm not talking about stoicism because I don't even know about stoicism. Today, somebody made a comment to me about stoicism. I don't know shit about stoicism. I don't have time for that. I'm not into philosophy like that. It's about you being self-reliant emotionally, finding an outlet for your pain that's other than a woman, because that's not what a woman was built for. Look, my contention is that a lot of the things we go through now is just an accumulated explosion of the things that have been happening to us from childhood. That these are not supposed to be our problems. This is not what men are supposed to be going through. It's not natural. If we are raised with love and care and respect, we wouldn't have these problems that we have today. So when a man thinks, oh, I want to vent to a woman, he only thinks that because he's not been trained from childhood how to deal with the emotions, how to not allow things to get to a point where he feels the need to do that. And then if it were to happen that he has to talk to someone, first of all, you have men to talk to because men will understand better, right? Like I've said before, I don't care about periods. If a woman tries to talk to me about a period, she will quickly find out that I'm not the right person to talk about periods too, because I truly do not care. I don't have to be in pain, but I don't want to know about it. I just don't. And that is the honest truth. And I don't, of course, if we are the last two people on the planet, then yes, we'll have different ways of dealing with each other. But you're not the last two people on the planet. You're not. So we have expectations of the other gender, but it's only because we've not fully developed ourselves in our gender, in our sex, in our masculinity. Most of us are not developed because we never valued it in the first place to develop it. And then all we have is be like this guy, be like I saw a post today on X, be like Tyler Durden, be like James Bond, be like Batman, be like, I don't know who the fuck is the new hero these days, Captain America or something, I don't know. No, be you, be yourself. Like, what does it really mean to be yourself? Like, we don't want to hear this, we don't like that phrase, be yourself. But if you ask someone, who are you? Who are you really? What's your idea? Not the Republican Party, not what the Democrat Party told you, not what TV told you, not what radio told you, not what society told you. What is your idea of the world, how it should be, of yourself? Because most people filter their ideas through what they think other people will think of them, right? They don't put themselves first. And modern males tend to filter their ideas through, oh, but what will women think? If I buy this car, will they like me? If I buy this shirt, will they like me? Rather than thinking, do I like me like this? There is a YouTuber called Boss Mark Top Soil, and he once said something to the effect of, you have to be willing to go down to 0 bitches, meaning you should be willing to have no females in your life if everybody decides to drop out, or you discard them because they are not following your plan, because they don't fit with what you are doing. Because I see guys ready to drop their friends, their male friends, cut them off for all kinds of things. But they give second, third, fourth, fifth, and 10th chances to females and make excuses for them. So it's all that thinking, all those mental states that make it more difficult for us to deal with our problems. Now, they say male loneliness. Frankly, I don't really understand what the issue there is. Not to say that males don't feel lonely, because the obvious argument is if males are feeling lonely, they can just be friends with each other. So the issue is not really loneliness, it's the connection with a female. That's the real issue. But here's the thing, you cannot connect with a female until you connect with yourself. You cannot connect with a female until you connect with yourself. And the only way you connect with yourself is if you are willing to face yourself honestly, if you are willing to sit in your pain and let it resolve itself. Even if sometimes it takes an hour or two, especially in the beginning, to just process some of the thoughts you may have. And when you get to that level, you realize, wait a minute, I don't want to vent to women. Actually, I don't feel comfortable venting to women, especially if I don't know her. I just met her 7 months ago. She does not need to know my whole fucking life. Right? Let alone a girl that you met recently. Right? But we are trained to think women are already perfect. So even if you met her this morning, she's all equipped to handle whatever you want. And she's right for you just by the virtue of being a woman. Right? Let me see that. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do to resolve all these things? Because the way it's going, I think we might just end up in some major conflict situation. We'll end up in a major conflict, and then it's just going to be um, a situation where men will actually have to sacrifice themselves and maybe come back to a world where they are second class, third class citizens. And then you have other males enforcing that. And that perhaps is what they say, like as a collapse of the society, maybe. That would be a very painful way to exist. But I know it does not have to get to that. It does not have to be that way. Men are the most formidable creatures to ever walk the surface of the planet Earth. We are. There's no beast more magnificent than men. So we need to start recognizing that and respecting that, and the rest of the world will follow. The rest of the world will follow. All these effeminate politicians, never standing on anything, never making a concrete statement, always maybe this, maybe that, always kind of, maybe always I guess, always second guessing themselves, always changing their mind on something, but never really fighting for anything that we care about. Right? It's always the big corporations and, of course, women, because the women vote. And because we think we must sacrifice ourselves, we take it, we take it, we take it. No. You have to be willing to walk away. And if you're afraid you won't get a woman, don't be afraid. You will get another woman. Because again, the woman you want a man who is himself. But you have to have the confidence to be yourself. You have to have the confidence to trust that the way you are is what you are supposed to be. That you don't have to look at an archetype. You don't have to look at an archetype and emulate that person to attract women, whether it's Chris Brown, what's his name, John Mayer, Brad Pitt. I don't know the new ones. I've not watched much TV lately. Or a fictional character like James Bond or whatever. And of course, Captain America. You don't have to emulate them. You don't have to copy them. You don't have to be like those people. You are not those people. You are you. So you have to figure out what it is about you that you like. If you're an accountant, then that's you. That's not your definition, but that's what you do. If you love it, you love it. Right? You don't have to compensate for that or do anything. No, there's a woman somewhere who just fits who you are. But are you willing to say no to the next 10 women that you go on a date with until the 11th one is the right one? And I've had many guys say no. They're not willing to do that. But in practice, those same guys end up by themselves still. And they end up putting in effort into a situation that does not deserve that effort. So they still have to go on those 10 dates. Just that each time they end up in a bad situation where they could have ended it before it got bad. And that's one thing that I've realized that as modern men, we don't know how to do. We don't know how to cut it short. Like, I think most guys don't even dump women anymore. I think the scarcity mindset is so widespread that guys don't say, you know what, this is not going to work out. Right? So when I talk about it, they think I'm saying something extreme, like dump her. Like, dump her, like, what else are you going to do? Right? There are females who I have not dumped in the past, I remember, or as soon as I should have. And I've always looked back like, yeah, I should have dumped her. And when I did dump her, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That was the right thing to do. I'm glad I dumped her because she was not worth it. But I understand. The new world wants everything ready made. The new world wants comfort. What's comfort? We don't want rejection. We don't want to see that somebody doesn't like us. We don't want to accept the woman doesn't find us sexy. Somebody actually says that a woman not wanting you is disrespect. Like, how can you even think like that? And his explanation was, if she doesn't want my DNA, that's the ultimate disrespect. But how about you are not compatible? How do you know she's right for you? Why do you have to cling on one woman when she's showing you clearly that she's not really into you? She's not really into you. Like, that doesn't mean anything about you. The only problem is if you stick in those situations. And I understand. Look, a lot of guys don't have the experience. Like, I really assumed when I got into all this stuff that every guy is used to going out, meeting women, talking to women. Uh, you know, I thought that was what everybody did. I didn't know that many guys have never really approached women, and that's fine. There's a lot of guys who married their high school sweethearts or they married young, and they never really dated, or they had two or three women and they married the fourth one or the third one or something like that. And so their view is very much influenced by those women and by what society tells them. But once you start dating more or seeing more women, you start realizing that they're not all what the society tells them to be, tells us that they are. And a lot of guys only find that out after a divorce, but even then, they don't realize that you have to search for the right woman. You can't just fall in love and get married. You have to vet the woman, see if she's right for you. When you realize it's not working, you have to be willing to say, all right, it's over. If she chooses to walk away, that's the last time you ever speak to her. I remember there was this girl, I really liked her, but looking back, she was annoying. So I can't remember what happened exactly. She misunderstood the situation. I think she was quite insecure. I don't know how much she liked me or she didn't. But she's the one who broke up with me. Fair enough. But I don't think she realized that was the last time I was going to ever speak to her. So she sent me some messages after. I never responded. I think I didn't block her, but I think you can filter out messages from people so they don't show up. And I think later I saw she had sent me messages. I didn't even read them. And then I thought about it. I was like, like, why, first of all, why is she getting back with me? And I realized that a lot of guys would have taken her back. And if you saw her, you might think, man, you're crazy, you should take her back. But I see, I don't value women just by their looks. I don't know how to I don't know how to, when it comes to this issue of dating, I'm thinking of how to really relate to people how I see it, because it's very different from what most people see. It's very different from what most people see. And when I go out with guys and we meet women and I see the different ways they think about them, it's very interesting. A lot of times we go out, or I see guys and they are, or just I'll just be out, and then you meet some group of guys, start talking, and you say, okay, let's go meet some girls, and they usually like to wait for me to make moves, and then they follow because it gives them the courage to do it. But also see how much more tolerant they are of just entertaining attention with women, that it, it's never going to go anywhere, that they are willing to pursue the woman even when she shows clearly she's not really interested. I know pickup artists think that that's a good thing. They think it's a good thing, but it's not. It's really not. It's really not. A lot of false accusations come from pursuing women who have shown you they are not interested, you know? And it just makes it so much easier for all these stupid anti-male activists to spread their rhetoric. And then it makes it easier for the fake red pill gurus to say, yeah, be afraid of women. But if then one of them teaches you to be covert if your intentions, and rather than being straightforward to say, look, this is what I want to do with you, when then you have problems, because people think being straightforward will get you rejected. But no, like, of course, I'm not saying walk up to a woman and say, hey, come to a hotel with me. That's stupid, right? Like, we don't do things like that. But if you go on a date and she says, oh, so what do you want to do with me? So I want to sleep with you. That's what I want to do with you. And if she wants to sleep with you, she will. And if she doesn't, she won't. If she says, oh, I'm not that kind of girl, you can safely say goodbye to her. But I know by saying this, I'm going against people's beliefs who think, oh, no, then you're not really serious. Oh, no, then that means you don't value sex, you don't value the woman. You only get low quality women this way. That's what they say. I know. So I have to figure out the right message, because the truth is that's what you are supposed to do. If a woman sleeps with you quickly, it does not make her low quality. It just means she's really attracted to you. Because the same woman who's playing games with you and will make you wait for 3 days or whatever, 3 weeks, whatever, how long ever she makes you wait, a month, and I've heard of guys waiting 3 months. And in the meantime, she will sleep with other guys, no matter how innocent she looks. And even if she doesn't, she knows that she can deny you sex later on in marriage. And when guys are honest, they will accept that, yeah, truly, she was denying sex already at an earlier point. And then you still married her, So that's not to put you down. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting anybody down. I have made these mistakes in the past as well. Just that I had a lot of iterations quickly. So I think I learned my lessons faster. A lot of guys have their first heartbreak during the divorce, like a real heartbreak, right? But I had my first like real heartbreak when I was like, what, 16, 17. And then a couple of others when I was, later as a teenager, my early 20s, you know. Um, but I remember one of the girls that I broke up with, I really was into her. I really was into her, but I realized some of the stuff I'm telling you now, that look, she was just not right for me. I liked her so much. Like, if I think of one that I really liked, and I liked all of them, but the one that she was one of my longest relationships too. But I ended it because I couldn't be the person I was becoming, because I felt I was becoming less of myself I was becoming the kind of man that the society says we should become, which is a sacrifice for the female. And that was just going against my nature. So because of that, by the time I got to my situation in court, I was not a novice to these feelings of hurt and betrayal. Yeah, it really hurt, don't get me wrong, but it was a different kind of hurt. It was on a different level. And it was something that I was able to resolve relatively quickly. And it's something that I also realized that was not the cause of my problems. I realized that the feelings I was feeling was, like I said in the beginning, a lot of the accumulated stuff that just showed itself in the relationship, with the woman. So I think that's what helped me to gain clarity and know what to do in court, and to prepare myself and to study the law, study the court system, study how things work, so I could win, which I did. Which I did. I got the outcome I wanted. I got a shared live with arrangement. I believe there are still some battles to come, but the major ones have been fought and won, right? So I know you can do it too. And over time, I will share some of the things I've gone through. I don't want to talk about them now because they're in the past and they may not be of use to you. Needless to say, I know it's like not to have a home and not to have really anywhere that's yours. I know how it feels like. I know what it feels like to lose what you're building. I know what it feels like to be betrayed by the very person you trust the most in the whole world. But the good news is when that happens, you realize that you trusted the wrong person. And the person you should have trusted is you. So on that note, remember, when in doubt, you are the truth. Go to bravefathers.com, get in touch so I can help you out with your situation. I'll see you again soon. I'll probably be back here tomorrow, if not later during the week. Thank you so much for watching. And again, remember, when in doubt, you are the truth. I'm John Paul from bravefathers.com.
BraveFathers.com.